What's up, y'all? It's your boy, the Black World Traveler, man. And today, I'm gonna respond to the whole thing about all the shootings over the Juneteenth weekend. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And what's sad about it is that we blame the kids for the violence. We blame the kids for how they react. This is not no thing that just happened overnight. This is generations and generations of violence from my generation, my parents' generation, generation before that. I mean, we are a product of post-integration. We are a product of post-integration. When black people integrated, we lost ourselves. We became victims in our own community. We became pawns in our own community. We became from being Republicans to being Democrats. Before integration and before the Civil Rights Movement, most blacks were Republicans. We were all about doing for self. We were all about being self-sufficient and having our own. In our neighborhoods, 90% of our businesses were black-owned. We controlled our children. The village raised the kids. Kids got chastised. Kids got spanked when they did wrong. You got taught why you got spanked, and you got taught what not to do. Some parents did, some parents didn't. But when they make these laws about, oh, you can't spank your kids, you got to put them in timeout and all that. Sorry, bro. Our culture, we're Black American people, and our culture is, we were kind of like raised on of the Bible, spare the rod, spoil the child. This is the outcome of it. And this Juneteenth thing, and we've been celebrating Juneteenth for years. I mean, it's the first year it's been a national holiday. Of course, they're gonna put the negative things that happened with us, but this is what happened, if it was a national holiday or not. So all these incidents you see going on, what happened, if it was Juneteenth or not. So the truth is that, man, these kids today are a reflection of their parents and their grandparents. Because their grandparents and their parents gang bang, sold dope, did all kind of stuff, fought in the community. A lot of kids were on welfare, where the fathers went around, because that was the first thing that hurt our communities when they took the father out of the home. When the father was taken out of the home and you had welfare, the father was not allowed to be at home. So a lot of kids weren't raised with fathers. They were raised by other people. Most boys were raised by women, or they were raised by other hustlers in the streets. That's what just happens when you take a community and do that. So these outcomes are a product of how we were raised. Like, I have both my parents, thank God I have both of my parents. My parents took us out of LA and the city and moved us to the country in Paris, California, raised us on a farm and gave us a different life. But when I became an adult, I went back to inner city, but I never got involved in none of the, activities. I mean, I tried to sell weed a little bit, and that wasn't it. I knew I wasn't made for that, and I knew right from wrong like everybody else. But everybody's situations were different. Some people, situations were a little more unfortunate. Some dudes went to prison, some didn't. But we just keep blaming the kids for the violence, and bro, how are kids getting guns? How are kids getting this stuff? Like, the parents ain't taking no accountability. Like, man, before civil rights, before integration, we had control of our children. Our children went wild and like this. You could get a crowd of black kids could go to a concert and never had a fight. You know what I'm saying? The 70s, when I was born, I remember, they'll do a concert, it'd be all black, but even no police there, because we knew how to act. We go out there and dance and have fun. We had our problems, but the gangs might get in a fight down the street or something. But that'd be like it. But they wouldn't go to any event and mess that event up. When you saw think about it, when James Brown, when the nights of riots went on, back in the 60s, James Brown got on TV and he told the people, hey man, he did a free concert so everybody could go home and watch him perform, because James Brown was very powerful in the community.
We all love Dr. Martin Luther King. I know him personally, and he was a fine man. But we wanted a hero, so we got one. We didn't get it just like we wanted, but we got one. So we got something to live for. We got an image to maintain. We got a man wood. We got a dream that we want to fulfill.
A lot of kids that were raised in California, where I'm from, a lot of parents, you know, didn't have their kids raised around gang banging. And the ones that did, they became, you know, that's the kind of outcome. But a lot of the single mothers that raised these kids and had these gangster boyfriends always around and raising them and being a bad influence, or, you know, dating the pimp dude or the pimp dude in the neighborhood would influence them to be a pimp. I mean, you gotta understand, they were influences in the street. And so our outcome is this.
Ain't nobody gonna bring her back. Ain't nobody bring her back.
A woman shot and killed near the LA Coliseum, a case of misidentification.
It's what it is, man. Like, I think as Black Americans, we're done. I think as far as our community, we're done. You know, we have to really structure things again. And it's gonna take this generation of men who are becoming men now to understand that. Because, I mean, look at the rappers. Look how the rappers kill each other. Look how the young men are killing each other because they shoot. You know, this is what they know. This is what they saw their uncles do. Saw their brothers do. Saw their fathers do. You know, so they basically just repeating what they saw. See, African and Black American people, we just do stuff different. We are a different culture. You know what I'm saying? We're different, man.
Hey! Ice too cold. Ice too cold. 1906.
I really started to notice a pattern about the misconceptions that a lot of people had, and really was a little bit upset because so many people possibly had the opportunity to read this article, and it really geared people away from identifying themselves with the Native ancestry that they may have as being Black Americans. It stated that the first Black Native Americans emerged from these groups. But we know that that's not necessarily the case, because the indigenous populations all throughout the southeastern United States and even on the islands and parts of South America were of a Negroid stock. And explorers were already stating these facts before, as they were coming here. And so any African that were brought over here didn't necessarily make the people Black. They were already so-called Black.
We still can't consider ourselves African if we don't know how to be African. Like, I would never call myself an African. To me, it's disrespectful to Africans because we don't know African tradition. The way you're gonna learn African tradition is to be around Africans, and you need to be in Africa or around African people. Even if you live in America and you live in an African community and you learn the language, say the Bantu language, you learn Swahili, or you learn Somali, or you learn, different languages. Then you're learning how to be African, but still being an African American, which a name that we were given by the government here. That's why I never use it, because I don't know what it is to be African. I've never been to Africa. I don't have no knowledge and teachings of Africa. I know how to be an American. So until I take my initiative to go to Africa and learn, like, I have no village to go to. I have no tribe to go to. Even if I do a DNA test, it's thousands of years ago. We've been in America, Blacks been in America for not hundreds, but thousands of years. So even if if my bloodline says that I'm of a certain tribe, I don't have no right to go to that tribe and say, hey man, you gotta accept me because, hey man, I did my DNA test and I was told that I was Bantu, or I was Kenyan, or I was from the Congos. I have no right to go to your village and then demand you to let me be African and come into your culture, because it's not how it works. If you decide that you want to be an African American, you need to go to Africa and get taught African. Get taught the language and the culture and the traditions and what to wear and how to act and how to represent yourself, how to be an African husband, how to be an African wife. if you don't learn that, you're not African, man. You just got the bloodline, but you can't. I mean, I wouldn't use that term African on nothing unless I'm going to actually go to Africa and live, become an African citizen and learn how to be. Because when Africans come here to America, when they come here from Africa, they're just African. When they get their citizenship, they're African American. Now they are African American. But then some of them act like Americans. So that's why they know the difference. When an African comes to America and become Americanized and be an American, when they go back to Africa, an African knows they're African American. They can just tell. They're considered, to me, I call them African American. They're from Africa. They have the identity and they know who they are. They know they have a tribe to go to. So that's an African American. A black American person is somebody who was here. We've been here for thousands of years. We don't know our African tribes anymore. We know the tribes here, the Choctaw, the Blackfoot, the Creek, the Cherokee. Those are tribes that we know. The Crow Indian, the Wampanoag, the Muskegee. Those are the tribes we know. Those are tribes that we were into. Even our food, we're the only, we don't have an identity to even the spices that Africans use. We don't even know the dishes that Africans make unless we've been around Africans. So this is the reason why I'm bringing this history up so you can understand and so the world can see us differently, so we can be respected as black people. So if you like my content, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, share and like. It's your boy, the Black World Traveler. I am out.